Hello, Mark Sajan again, and let me show another practical use of Z-spheres. So there's a model, I have a horns. This model and the horns are also created from Z-spheres, and everything is packed within one subtool. Now I have some plans to add some kind of outer skeleton to this guy, and for that reason I want to use Z-spheres, but I want to drive those Z-spheres uh, uh, driven by the surface. So I want to actually create these Z-sphere links onto the surface. Just let me show how this thing is working. So inserting a new Z-sphere, and okay, the swimsuit is ready. I'm going to the transparent mode and making sure that symmetry is enabled. Switch to move, scale this guy down. Now it's within the model, and instead of keeping it this way, because I don't want to create a horn-like shape, I don't want to go outside the model, I want to keep my newly created Z-spheres on the model. I have to use a trick. It's quite easy. We just have to turn off ghosting. So now when ghosting is turned off, uh, the display will change, but it will also affect Z-spheres itself. So when I'm going to draw mode and I start drawing my Z-sphere, as you see, it is instantly created on the surface. So I can create these links on the surface. Now here comes a little bit of a trouble, because accidentally, as I moved away, I just broke the line. Now I can undo, but I cannot follow with this creation, because uh, this method will always trying to follow the previously selected joint. So the next link will use this joint. Now in this case it's not really a good option, because I want to follow this open link here, so I want to create a next one somewhere here. What to do? I'm switching to move mode, tapping on the end. Now that will be highlighted in red, so that means that particular Z-sphere is selected. I'm switching back to Q, to draw mode, and now I will be ready to follow. So sorry, Q, and I will be ready to follow the link. Okay, so this red color has a meaning, and you try to avoid clicking away or clicking over an existing link, because that will break your link of creation. So switching back again to Q, now dragging out, and this is it's not a harness, it's a kind of an exoskeleton feature that I've created here with kind of a weird bones. If I'm pressing A, now this is my preview. If I'm turning off transparency, of course the hidden elements will disappear, but this is the newly created model. It's pretty much useful if you want to create some straps on a figure, or if you are working with environment and you have some roots going on. For example, there's a house, and a wooden root is just going climbing up on the wall. So in that case, for example, it's a good solution. Okay, now what to do if you are ready with your complete character and you want to pose it, because Z-spheres could be used for posing your character. Now let me show the basic solution for posing something, the simplified version. So I will turn off everything, as just the body will be visible. So let me turn off the Z-sphere, let me turn off this one, let me select the body is visible, and I'm creating a new Z-sphere, and that will be the bone structure for this particular model. That is, so I'm inserting a new Z-sphere, enabling transparency, turning back on ghost, because this model will be inside the model, inside the body, So in this case, I have to turn back on ghost, otherwise it will snap on the surface. Symmetry is established. Scaling it down, and that is just a skeleton now. So I will switch to Q and add a couple links. Okay, nothing crazy. I want to just build up a chest, head, or arms at this moment, just to demonstrate how this thing is working. So Q again, creating another link, pulling it up. This would be the center of the chest. Make sure that's somewhere in the middle. Okay, now creating the sides, maybe a little bit of a size change. Okay, that's nice. And Q again, sides, these are the shoulders, positioning is okay. Q, adding the arms, sorry, elbows. Okay, right now just Q, another joint, and pressing it. Okay, so technically this is a kind of an arm model, an arm rig. And what we do need is a simple head rig for this case. So Q again, back to the center, creating the main, pulling it up. Okay, another link to pull this smaller size brush. Okay, resize this model, and of course I want to add one more for the head. Not two, one, and pulling it back on. Okay, so this is a simple rig, and if I want to make a change with this rig, I have a bad news. You have to get this ZSphere away from your model. So what I will do is I will just copy this rig and select a new Polymesh 3D. Doesn't really matter which one. The star is selected, and I'm hitting on paste. And the star, I don't need the star, so I will turn this off and actually deleting. Okay, ZSphere is selected, and if you have a ZSphere rig is selected, you can walk down and there's a feature called rigging, and within rigging you can hit on select mesh. This is why you have to keep your mesh at a separate file, separate tool. So I'm hitting on select mesh, and from the quick pick I want to click on my model that I want to edit, and that model will be this ZSphere, Z-skin ZSphere in this case. So I will use that one as my model. So this is my skin. Okay, it's not the painted one, it is the previously created one, but the rig is the same, so it's working fine. Now mesh is selected, so this button is not used anymore because it's right now the mesh is appearing. But what I can do, I can just start moving these contents. Okay, just let me bind the mesh. So bind the mesh. Now if I move away the mesh, it will affect every other parts. Okay, because I don't have legs now, it's quite rough, but technically this is what you can do. So this is how binding is working theoretically. Okay, and if you are satisfied with the change you made, then you have to just go down and select adaptive skin, hitting on preview, and this is the preview of your changes and the mesh updates, and then you can hit make adaptive skin, and now you have another skin ZSphere model, and that is actually the modified posed model. Now it's not accurate because it was not really spending the time to adjust the rig, but this is the logic of modifying an object with a ZSphere rig. Now what happens if you have a quite detailed model, you're finished, we will take a look and you want to modify that with the ZSphere rig. We will take a look at the next session. So these are just the basics of posing.